Yo, what up guys, I'm Sammy and welcome back to the Soul Drop. And this is my first impressions look on the Jordan 1 Take 5. So the 1 Take line or series is Russell Westbrook's kind of budget or takedown model from Jordan brand. It's a pretty cheap shoe. It's only $100, which is great. The 1 Take line, the very first 1 Take was absolutely amazing. And then every single other 1 Take has been right? Especially the 1 Take 4, the last model. Could have been really nice, but the support was not good for me. So I didn't really like playing that shoe. But I feel like they changed up the design a lot and it feels a lot more supportive. And also as far as the looks go, I love how it looks. It looks like a skate shoe. It almost looks like a casual shoe, which I really like. Especially in this colorway, the only thing I don't like about it is this red part. You know, I wish it kind of like stands out a little too much, right? I wish it was like this tan color a little bit more, right? Why is it red, you know? But other than that, this shoe looks absolutely amazing. I feel like you can definitely wear it casually, right? So if you guys do want to cop, try to leave an affiliate link in the description box. Again, it is $100, but let's get it started right off with the Tracciones, and we have herringbone, right? So we have a herringbone traction pattern pretty much going throughout the entire outsole. However, we have a 4-foot pod with like a different rubber, right? So obviously in this colorway, this is a translucent rubber for this red part, and then pretty much the entire outsole is this white solid rubber outsole. And then here in the heel, we have the Jumpman logo. And then also we have this kind of like slit here that I'm guessing they wanted to expose, like, this is plastic, so I'm guessing this is like the plate, right? So how does the traction feel? It does not feel that good. There's a little bit of a stop, right? It stops pretty well, but it doesn't seem amazing so far. And also it's pretty silent, right? And having no squeak doesn't mean it's gonna be bad for traction. It's just I like to have a little bit of a squeak, you know? Yeah, I don't know what it is, but Chinese companies right out the gate, right out the box, have amazing traction, really super loud, high-pitched squeak. But Nike and like US companies in general have been kind of like, you have to break it in a little bit, you know? So I wish they would change it up a little bit. And also, like I keep saying, I wish they would improve the technology for their rubber, right? So a lot of Chinese companies are like, oh, we improved the rubber compound, the composition of materials in the rubber outsole, and we made it lighter and also more durable, but also has better grip or whatever. I don't know how they have the statistics for that. They say like, oh, it's 20% better grip, but they do that, you know what I mean? But Nike's just like, here, let's just slap on a rubber outsole and there you go, you know? So I wish they would do some R&D into improving the actual rubber technology. But anyways, hopefully it breaks in nicely, but right now it feels all right, you know what I mean? It doesn't feel terrible though, so that's a good thing. As far as the durability goes, durability feels like it'd be pretty good, right? We have herringbone, we have a lot of grooves, a lot of surface area. The rubber is actually quite hard, even though the grooves look a little thin, right? And the grooves are pretty deep, so you should be fine on an outdoor court. So there's that, and also here in the middle of the outsole, here in the midfoot, we have a midfoot chainplate, right? It's just plastic. And now moving on to the heel to toe transition, it feels pretty smooth overall so far. So here in the heel, we have a pretty nice curved shape, also fully exposed, pretty much like final on midsole. And then the forefoot, it's actually a little bit flatter than usual, right? So it's not that curved, but it's not terrible. It does feel a little bit like a slapper though, right? And the look of the overall shoe looks like a skate shoe. And also, if you guys skate, right? If you're a skater, you know what I mean? You do tricks and stuff like that. You want the sole of the shoe to be flat, you know, so you can feel the board and stuff like that. And maybe that's where he got the inspiration from. But when you're playing basketball, you want it to be a little bit more curved, in my personal opinion, in the forefoot. You know, I don't like the flatter shape. It reminds me a lot of like Adidas shoes, like older Adidas shoes, like the Donny Shoe 1, you know. But anyways, it also is pretty stiff here in the forefoot, right? I feel like this plate kind of extends into the forefoot a little bit more because it is only bending like at the tip of the toe right here, which of course isn't a bad thing, but because of the flatter shape, it makes it feel a little bit more like a slapper, right? So yeah, I mean, the overall shoe feels a little bit more on the stiffer side of things, which of course isn't a bad thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but for me, I don't like it because I like to have a very smooth, fluid feeling shoe. Like, for example, like the 8083 Ultra, look at how flexible this shoe is. Like, look at that, right? Versus this, I can't even flex while doing that, you know? So it is a pretty stiff feeling shoe, but if you're into that kind of like feel for your hoop shoes, then I guess it's a good option, right? So now moving on to the cushioning setup. The cushioning setup is actually quite nice, right? So here in the heel, we just have a pretty stiff phylon, so there's not a whole lot of compression from the actual heel, like the exposed midsole, but there is a top-loaded zoom unit in the forefoot, which does feel nice, and you can feel it really easily. There's a nice subtle bounce like in your forefoot, which feels great. The insole is it's just a regular insole. It doesn't feel amazing. Just adds a little bit to the step and comfort, but of course, as you guys all know, insoles do bottom out, right? And then underneath that, however, we have a very stiff strobe board, right? So in the heel, it kind of sucks for step and comfort. Obviously, the forefoot is better because of the top-loaded zoom unit. And when you kind of remove the insole and look at the forefoot from the strobe board, you can see the outline of the forefoot zoom unit, which is pretty cool, right? And like I said, it does have a nice subtle bounce. So I do like the forefoot zoom unit, and that's pretty much all that I like about it. And also, it does have pretty good court feel. But yeah, I mean, it's a $100 shoe, and Nike and Jordan Brand, because it is a budget shoe, a cheaper shoe, they're not going to give us good cushion, right? So that's what I kind of hate about that. Honestly, like Chinese companies, even though a shoe is a lot cheaper, they still give us really good cushion, but for a $100 shoe, they don't give us good cushion in like Nike, Adidas, all the cheaper shoes that are found in like US companies, so anyways, there's the cushioning setup there. Moving on to the upper. So the upper is pretty interesting, right? So here in the toe box, we have a mesh material, but it's not super thin, right? It's not a crappy mesh. It actually feels pretty supportive, right? There's not a whole lot of stretch to it. And look, if I just press it, it kind of like stays in place, you know what I mean? It conforms to your foot kind of well, but like I said, the overall shoe feels pretty stiff, right? Including the upper. So also we have this, look at this. So this is just a plastic material. It's actually quite a stiff feeling plastic, right? So it starts here, it goes all the way around the toe box right here. So that'll be good for durability and support, especially if you do toe drags. And that's pretty much it, right? And I feel like that's a pretty good piece to have if you want good support, right? So that's there. The mesh material feels supportive as well, like I just said. And then here in the midfoot, holy crap, guys, this synthetic leather material, I'm guessing this is synthetic leather, right? There's holes in it for ventilation, obviously, but I mean, there's an underlaying material, so ventilation is not that good, but it's so look at that. Look at how stiff this material is, right? Here on the lateral and also on the medial side. It's so dang stiff. And then for the tongue, we actually don't have that much padding, right? It's not super cozy. It's not super comfortable. It's a half booty constructed tongue as well. And I guess to improve the comfort for the tongue, however, we do have some foam pads right here where the laces are, which I guess is a good thing. And then here in the ankle area, we also have pretty minimal padding. It's not super well padded, maybe a little bit less than average. So yeah, I mean, okay, so I'm not a huge fan of the upper right now. It does feel pretty stiff. I feel like it'll break in pretty nicely, but I feel like if you're looking for a lot of support, right, this is a pretty good option. It feels like, right? Actually a really good option. It reminds you a lot of like the Harden Volume 7, you know what I mean? The Dawn Issue 5, the AE1. Adidas is killing it with support. If you want a supportive shoe, that's kind of the shoe you want, right? But yeah, with the One Take 5, this shoe is feeling super supportive. And as far as the material quality goes, it's all right. It doesn't feel absolutely terrible, but it doesn't feel great. But I guess, it's a $100 shoe, so you can't really complain, right? So for $100, it's not bad. And now moving on to the fit. So I went up half a size, and this shoe fits me pretty dang well. So I don't know what it is with Nike and Jordan Brand, but they've been running pretty dang short, right? And I don't know if you guys can see, but this is a really tight toe box right here. So also for lengthwise, going up half a size, my toes go pretty close to the edge of the shoe. It's not super close, like right there, but it is pretty close. So I feel like most people will be good going up half a size, right? If you go true to size, just be careful with that. It is a very snug fit, and it's still a snug fit here in the toe box for me, even after going up half a size. So be careful here in the toe box, right? Also width-wise, I would say it's around normal width. So it's not super narrow or anything, which of course is good, but it is pretty snug here on top of your toes. Also for the width in the midfoot, it is like a normal width, so it's not squeezing my midfoot really at all. So going up half a size is actually a pretty good fit for me, and I would suggest most people would do the same. If you have a wide foot, I would suggest going up a full size, right? And now moving on to the support and lockdown, it feels like it'll be very supportive, right? So like I said, I've never seen this done before, right? But this is this plastic material. It's a pretty prominent plastic piece. It's stiff and all that. And it's pretty much covering you here in the forefoot, right? So you have that going on. Also, we have this really stiff synthetic leather piece, like this panel right here. This midfoot panel is crazy stiff. Also here in the heel, I guess the foam comes up a little bit, but we also have an internal TPU heel counter. So your foot is pretty much not going out of the footbed, right? Your foot's gonna be contained. Also, like I said, its overall material feels really supportive as well. So even if you're a bigger dude, you should be fine. And as far as the lockdown goes, lockdown feels overall pretty good. Here in the heel, it doesn't feel super locked down for me. However, it doesn't feel like my heel is slipping traction a lot. It just doesn't feel completely locked down, right? So it's not a terrible thing or anything. Maybe it's because the sole of the shoe is so stiff. That's probably it, you know. But anyways, there's that. Moving on to the weight of the shoe. I'm guessing like 13, 14 ounces. It feels a little bit on the heavier side, right? So 13.55 ounces. Let's check the other shoe. Yeah, 13.6 ounces, right? So it is a little bit on the heavier side of things. The average weight of my shoes is around 12.5 ounces. So it doesn't feel like super heavy or bulky even. It just feels really stiff so far. And also the traction, I feel like it doesn't feel good right now. So hopefully that breaks in and gets really, really nice. But other than that, I don't really like how the shoe feels that much because, like I said, I like a very smooth feeling shoe, and the entire shoe, like the upper feels stiff, the sole of the shoe is stiff and all that. So wrapping things up, yeah, I really like the design of the shoe, right? It looks great. Like I said, it looks very casual. And also I forgot to mention, look at this outrigger, guys. Look at how freaking pointy it is. Look at how wide it is. So that's definitely really good for lateral stability. But anyways, yeah, so $100. Hopefully this shoe breaks it, right? Right now it's a little too stiff for me, but like I said, if you like that kind of feel for your hoop shoes and you want a really supportive upper, really supportive shoe, I feel like this will be a very nice option, especially a cheaper option, right? But other than that, I mean, not liking the traction all too much, like I said, right? So yeah, my first impressions are right now, you know what I mean? And I feel it's weird because the design language and how the shoe feels in the one take line, every shoe feels really, really different. I don't know why, you know what I mean? Russell Westbrook's like shoe, like how it plays and all that is very different going from shoe to shoe, and also in the signature shoe line as well, right? But I feel like the one take line does it a little bit more. So that's kind of interesting, you know what I mean? If I had a signature shoe line, I would want every shoe to feel very similar, you know what I mean? Like in Kobe's, Kyrie's, you know, they all have a very similar design language and how they play. But anyways, yeah, not my shoes so far, but like I said, hopefully it breaks in. But anyways, that about concludes my first impressions look on the Jordan One Take 5. Again, if you guys do want to cop, I try to leave an affiliate link in the description box. But that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.